Another of the fundamental practices of the Healing Tao system is the microcosmic orbit. And the microcosmic orbit is, it's one of the first ones I learned, but there's stories of, in the olden times, it used to be, it'd take 10 years to learn it. You had to pay a teacher and study at someone's feet for 10 years before they would teach you the microcosmic orbit. Well, I believe that, but it may be legend. But that's what you always hear about this microcosmic orbit practice. Then Montauk Chia brought it over from the East, meaning China, brought this practice over, shared it with us, and his take is that you really want to learn the microcosmic orbit first. It's one of the first practices that you want to learn. You don't need to wait 10 years. You need to learn it right away so that you can get the benefits and so that it can help you in your other practices as you start to do things like the iron shirt or other, the fusion of the 5 elements, the healing love, the Taoist sexology practices. They're all based on the inner smile and microcosmic orbit. So really it's very beneficial that we don't have to wait 10 years to learn this anymore and thousands of dollars. It's right here on YouTube for free. So some of the benefits of the microcosmic orbit. Well, first of all, I'll tell you what it is. It's bringing the energy down the front channel and up the back channel. All right, so down the front channel, the conception vessel, up the governor vessel, up the spine, and around. We connect our tongue to the roof of the mouth. It's like closing the switch on an electrical current when we put the tongue to the roof of our mouth, and it allows us to connect the back with the front channel and move those around. So some of the benefits are that it balances out the hot and the cold. So you may have a lot of heat in your head, and a very active mental state, a lot of heat in your head, and maybe a lot of cold in your kidneys, or a lot of cold in your sexual organs. They may be contracted, or you might have the opposite. Sometimes we get a lot of fire in our sexual organs, and we don't have much energy going on in our head. Right? So we got a very active sexual interest, but we don't have a lot of brain energy to go with that. That could also be trouble. It's the opposite. So what we want is a balanced energy throughout. We want to have a warm, lukewarm energy. We don't want to be too hot or too cold. So it balances out the yin and the yang aspects of our body. Similarly, the fire of our heart and the fire of our heart and the fire in our head, they want to go out as we talk, as we share, as our senses, they all want to go out. Our ears are looking for something to hear, music, sounds. Our eyes are looking for something to look at. Our mouth, our tongue are wanting to taste things. So our chi, our energy all the time is going out. Well, we want to conserve that. We want to kind of keep that in. The water element also wants to go out, but it goes out and down. The water element wants to go out just like through men, through our sexual energy or sexual fantasy. The energy wants to go out through excess ejaculation or too much sexual energy. In women, through menstruation or childbirth, they lose energy out this way. And so the microcosmic orbit helps convert that energy and bring it up so that it's not going out and down, and it keeps the fire energy in and allows it to go down and rotates it throughout our microcosmic orbit so that this energy then, instead of just going out haphazardly, it actually nourishes our organs, nourishes the 12 acupuncture meridians on each side of our body. They're more superficial, but they relate to all of our organs. And so when we fill up the microcosmic orbit with energy, we're filling up, we're giving the opportunity there where it's like the great river is then full of water so that it can flow out to these tributaries and these other rivers that feed and nourish all of our vital organs. So that is why the microcosmic orbit is just such a great practice to learn. And we'll talk about the 4 main points of the microcosmic orbit, although there are more. I'll first share the main 4. And that starts out at the navel, the seat of the lower dantian, right around here. And these are very vast, wide points. I'm just pointing to the small aspect of it. It's about the size of a quarter. It's the first one. The second one in this simple 4 is the perineum, between the sexual organs and the anus. The next one is the Ming Men, which is opposite the navel. The Chinese call it the Ming Men. It's the point between the kidneys. So we got 1, 2, 3, and 4 as the crown of the head. And so if you just focus on those 4, that gives you the 4 directions. And then the center is inside between these two. The center is the 5th direction there, right there, in between the navel and the Ming Men. And so just a simple Qigong exercise like this, after you've woken up the awareness here in these different places, can start to move that energy. So you're thinking about your crown, put tongue to the roof of the mouth, thinking about moving the energy down to the navel, perineum, up, and back down. If you want to add more points to that, think about the navel, the sexual palace, the Taoists call it. It's at the pubic bone. All right, then the perineum, we already talked about. The sacrum, very important point back here, the sacrum. Go back to the Ming Men, in between the kidneys. The adrenal pump, right in between the, we've got the kidneys, and on top of that, the adrenal glands sit. There's a point that's in between the adrenals. Come up to the point behind the heart, between the scapula there, the back of the heart. Then we come up to the occiput, or the Taoists call it the jade pillow here, the back of the head. Again, we come up to the crown, third eye, the throat center, tongue to the roof of the mouth again, the throat center, heart, solar plexus, and back to the navel. So I know I just threw those out quick. Please study the microcosmic orbit with an instructor of the Healing Tao system to learn these in depth, get the books about these. But that just gives you a basic idea. So the way I learned these is I started out with just each one of these points in a book, and I just massaged them until I could feel it. Then I would move to the other one, massage it until I could feel it without massaging it, feel that energy expand. Then to the next one. And if you don't have time to do all 13 of them at the same time, just bring it back to the navel. If you just do 1 or 2, we always want to bring the energy back to the navel at the end. That's probably the most important aspect of this practice. We don't want the energy to be stored in our head or our heart. We'll get too much mental energy, may not be able to sleep, or be thinking too much emotional energy in the heart if we just leave the energy there. Too much heat physically is not good for it. So we always want to bring our energy back to the navel. And again, after you, in a seated position with your eyes closed, or standing if you want to with your eyes closed, you could do the meditation there. I'm a big fan of massaging, as I said, and then doing movement along with it to guide the energy with my hands, to show it where I want it to go, so that I don't get so sidetracked if I'm just relying on my mind to move this energy. So moving the energy with my hands could be one way to move it. Another way I like to do is the front channel, because it can get, it's kind of hard to open up, because the front channel is what faces the world, and so we kind of close it down to protect ourselves. So making sure that the energy can safely go down, and I think it's good to stroke down the front channel, down the throat, stroke down, again storing here. So those are just some tidbits, a little bit of information, some ideas on the microcosmic orbit. Please find someone to train with. Give us an email, go to a retreat, study with a Healing Tao instructor, and you'll start to see those benefits come true. The first day I practiced this, I saw some benefits. And I think that you'll have similar experiences. Maybe not right away, but over time, I can almost guarantee it. Thank you very much. I'm glad to have you here.